Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Black Maverick channel. I have a relatively new channel, so I'd like to ask you guys to consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoy the content, I'd like to ask you to hit the like button. I greatly appreciate it. With that being said and done, let's jump into the video.
It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours. So I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American Black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during. In fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that. And it's directly related to what you were just talking about. You know, the thing about nationalism, you're totally right. It is like, to use the word nationalism, oh, it's Hitler, it's Hitler. And, you know, Hitler had soup. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have soup. Hitler loved dogs. That doesn't mean you shouldn't love dogs. So I think we have to move past this. If Hitler did it, it must be bad. But I do notice when I was listening to your monologue, I don't think I do use the word nationalism. I would use a word you used in your monologue, which I liked quite a bit, and that's citizenship. There's citizenism. How about Americanism?
Yeah.
I'd also point out that the only people who are not allowed to be proud of their ethnic group do tend to be Anglo-Saxons. Oh boy, you can't be proud of being white. Whereas, you know, watch a soccer game. And see, you know, it's Venezuela, we're Mexicans. It's funny, Hispanics don't even think of themselves as Hispanics. They think of themselves as the country they're from. I think French feel very proud to be French. We saw Macron expressly objecting wokeness on the grounds that this is an American institution. We're not going to import this. So you do see basically every other ethnic group very proud of their ethnic group. And the thing I'd say about America, okay, no single cuisine, but you can get Chinese food and Mexican food in Paris and Tokyo. Food has definitely migrated across countries. There is a core national identity that is the identity of the WASP. And that doesn't mean we can't take anyone else in, a Sri Lankan or a Japanese or an Indian, but the core around which the nation's values are formed is the WASP. We've never had a president who didn't have at least partial English ancestry. Never. We've only had one Catholic president. There was only one Catholic signatory to the Declaration of Independence. They were all not only Protestants, but pretty much Presbyterian. King George referred to the American Revolution as that Presbyterian War. So there is a lot in the freedom thing. Samuel Huntington of Harvard has written about this in a fantastic book I recommend to everyone, Who Are We? And he describes how, you know, back in colonial times, interestingly enough, for example, Jews could vote, but Catholics couldn't because people thought they would be more loyal to Rome once they became more American Catholic and less Roman Catholic. Then they were just, you know, part of us and part of Americans. But you do notice, and he describes why so many countries that have not done very well are dominated by Catholicism. It's much more from the top down. It lends itself to an authoritarian governance, whereas, you know, Calvinists, it's between you and God. And moreover, because of the Presbyterian, I think every ethnic group has this, you know, the WASP work ethic and the Jewish work ethic, and I'm sure there is an Indian work ethic. But specifically with Presbyterians or Protestants, let me put it that way, and the Calvinism, even though might not be theologically true, but the idea that you are part of the chosen and you prove that by being successful. It's almost the reverse in Catholic countries, not so much this country because American Catholics have basically become Protestants. And that is this worship of being poor, as if you are closer to God because you're poor. That's not the way to create a, like, on-the-go developing country.
No, I think that that's an interesting tour through that historical lane, but I want to pick on one point you said, which is citizenship, right? Let's talk about what does it mean to be a citizen of a nation. And it's interesting, if a lot of people trip up on this, they'll say, well, it means what you get, right? Do I get to vote or do I get some other claim? And that doesn't really work. Actually, if you look through most of American history, for example, women were citizens long before women could vote, right? And so it's not about what you get. In my book, and I think that this is true with the American conception of citizenship, I think it's true of the Roman conception of citizenship, is it's about your loyalty, actually.
Yes.
To whom do you actually pledge loyalty?
So initially, after watching the video, I wasn't sure if we needed more people like him in the world or more people like her in the world, right? People in general and Black people very specifically, I think we need to find a way to grow tougher skin, because I found this interview very informative, to say the least, right? It gave more pieces, more components to this white oppressive system that we know a large deal about, but I feel it's very important to allow people to tell you who they are and their truth, right? Okay, so Black people, I think we've been housed in this space of over hyper emotionalism, right? Like we need to get out of it, but I think a large part of what or the situations that we're in now, a few specific ones. We'll talk about the presidency, right? President Biden, during his campaign, he said some very subtle and covert racist things, right? One very notable example was for him, President Biden, to tell the Black African American people that they weren't Black unless they voted for him. That was the most narcissistic, racist, master plantation owning comment that I've heard, right? But because he said it subtly, Black people was able to stomach that. I think we need to get out of the wanting the sweet nothings whispered in our ear and find a way to be able to accept the harsh truth, the harsh reality, right? Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago, he ran his campaign at the expense of the Black people. All those lies he told to the African American community in Chicago. And then he got in office, offered his sweet lies, and showed, didn't have to talk, he showed where his loyalty lies. So me personally, I think it is very beneficial for us to find a way to understand or to allow the oppressive white supremacists to tell us who they are. I'd much rather have you tell me who you are for me to understand who or whom it is I am dealing with, right? Versus you smiling in my face and stabbing me in my back. I have to wonder if you truly like me, if you're truly for me, versus you telling me I have no good intentions for you or toward you. I can appreciate that far more than all of these politicians that are standing in our faces with a mouthful of lies, these featherweight words. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it sounds good. It feels good to have people to tell you the things you want to hear. But it feels better when those words have substance, when those words have weight, right? So I just want to, shed light on that part. And Vivek, he actually let us know in that interview where the immigrants and migrants, where their loyalty lie, right? And many of us already know that as soon as they migrate over to America, they come in taking up the side or part of the white supremacist oppressive system, right? They direct a whole bunch of bigotry and racism toward us, the black people. Many of them. So again, I found this interview very informative. We must not muffle. I think silence racism is like thinking you're going to this beautiful theme park only to find yourself running and standing in a landmine. You guys, I don't want to drag this video out. Please let me know in the comments section what you think about this video, and leave some correspondence there. And again, just let me know what's your opinion on this video. I'd also like to ask you guys to consider subscribing. If you found the content interesting, I'd like to ask you to hit the like button. Remember, respect should always be given. Disrespect can be earned. I love you, even if you don't love me back. Keep it peaceful until next time.